I have had the blessed opportunity to speak here many, many times, and even more times I have sat here listening to words of inspiration from so many others. So for those of you who know me and have heard me speak before and maybe wondering something, this will be a bit cryptic to those of you who hadn't heard me speak before, but it will become clearer before I'm finished. So for those of you who've heard me before, yes, I do. They're all the same, and not just yet. So as always, the opening prayer, the opening song, the sound meditation, if we simply sat in that energy, it would really convey all that's in my heart to convey today. Mary and I spoke months ago about today's meditation being a bit different, doing the sounding. And then we spoke with various people, with Rob and then with Renee in terms of putting Mary on the schedule. And Nick also was part of this conversation for us to do this today. And the reason that I was so interested in this particular meditation is because sound is a vibration and light is a vibration. And just as Dottie said in the opening prayer, we're a flashlight. Our light is influenced, is as dim or as bright as the vibration that we invite and that we allow to move through us. And in this season of light that touches so many religious traditions, and on this particular day, later on today, when the earth turns her face to the sun, we're reminded of the cycles, that there are times that it appears as though we are in the darkness. And for those of you who heard Patrick speak last week, he spoke about the Taoist sign of the yin and the yang, and in the white that looks like a big comma to me, there's a dot of black, and in the black that looks like a big comma that fits into the white, there's a dot of white. So within us, in the fullness of who we are, the light is always present. And one way that light is present, that our light is nourished, is in community. And since I no longer live out here in the East End, I felt myself, I did notice that the stairs on the side were not there today, and so I walked to the front. And as I walked up the stairs, I could feel this bubbling of heartfelt energy, of knowing that walking into this space that so many of us have breathed the fullness of their being in, that I would be nourished. And so one of the things that I have with me is a heart that was given to me about 25 years ago as a Christmas decoration. And in the past 10 years of what has been my gypsy life, in the past 10 years, where I've lived in a number of different states, I have taken this with me. And this past end of summer, when I was packing my things, I decided that it was time to pass it on. And I passed it on to Mary. And earlier in the week, Mary and I spoke to one another, and she said, the heart keeps popping into my mind. I said, it's so interesting because I was just thinking about the heart yesterday. And so we spoke about it, and what Mary said to me this morning is, I want you to know what this represents to me. It represents, certainly our heart, the light of love that moves through us. That this community is a community of light, is a community of love. And so we're going to pass it around. And I ask that you endow it with your love. And if you need a dose of light to shine the light on your light, then breathe in the love from this heart. And I'm going to say one more thing about it. It's, if you look at it, and I think you can also tell when you feel it, there are places where some of the gold has rubbed off. There's a little hole in the top of it. And that's what our hearts are like. Our hearts get broken. And what happens when they're broken is we have the choice to either armor up and save our light and only give it to this person because you think the same things I think, or only give it to that person because you taught me something. But the truth is, if we allow our heart to remain open, not only does the light of others fill us, but our light has a place to shine. During the U's, when my eyes were closed, about the first 4 of them, I was doing them. I was paying attention to what it sounded like, and I wanted to do it right, and I was wondering what other people sounded like, but I was doing the hue. Anybody else have that experience at all? And around the 5th or the 6th one, I stopped doing it, and here's the image that came to my mind. For those of you who are familiar with the tarot, and it might not have my hands the right way, but it was the magician card. And what I experienced was from the darkness of the center of Mother Earth, the energy was coming up and through me. And from the light of Father Sky, the energy of light was coming through me. And this sound was coming out of me. The light, I literally felt, I physically felt my body open to the light. And so my question for all of us is, what are the conditions that we put on allowing our light to shine? And one of the conditions that I put on mine for many, many years is I thought I had to go someplace to the light. You think about the spiral of life, or you think about a tunnel, and well, the light's at the end of the tunnel. I have to figure out the way to get to the end of the tunnel. What if the light is truly in here all the time? And all I have to do is recognize the truth of who I am. And something that reminds me of that are the words of Marianne Williamson. Some of you may be familiar with it, and if you've heard it before, I ask you to listen to these words with your heart, to let them meet you where you are today. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all made to shine, as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. The glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fears, our presence automatically liberates others. So the truth of who we are is that we are God, the loving energy of the universe, the great mystery, source, made manifest. This is the truth that each one of us seems to be on the journey to embody more and more and more and more each and every day. But what if today the journey is over? What if today you can allow yourself to say and know more deeply than you've ever known before that I am the light? So join me in these words. I am the light. And let's say it again, and this time bring it in. I am the light. And one more time, bring it on. I am the light. Yeah, how great a giggle this is to be played with. We get so serious about being spiritual. It's really pretty silly. I mean, lighthearted is a word that we've all heard. And yet we're serious about love. We're serious about being open-hearted. We want to work at it. And I can tell you, I have worked at it for over 50 years. And so what's come to me as I've been thinking about being here today is it's easy in a community like this to feel our light nourished. It's easy to tap into our spirituality. It's even easier for many of us when we're feeling the darkness to come into a community like this and begin to feel the connection, to allow our hearts to open. Yet the real challenge in life, I know there are many yoga teachers here, is to do yoga off the mat. On the mat is to strengthen the practice. The true practice is in the supermarket when you're on the express line and the person before you has more than 10 items. The true practice, and I'm going to share an experience I had this week with actually a couple of weeks ago with one of my stepkids. We were butting horns in a phone conversation. And I could tell I got totally drawn into kind of who's right, even though I was saying, I'm not saying I'm right. That was kind of the clue. And I really couldn't shake it off in this phone conversation. And so I hung up on him. And I want to tell you how I hung up on him. I said to him, I cannot have this conversation anymore. I'm saying goodbye and hanging up. So I didn't just slam it, although that was some of the feeling that was within me. And I share this because from the outside, oh, you hung up? That doesn't sound so loving. That doesn't sound like you were in the light, that you were remembering that you are God made manifest. Yet at that moment, that was truly the most loving thing I was capable of doing at that moment. So I hung up the phone, I let out a yell, I vented, and when I spoke to him about 45 minutes later, I had compassion not only for myself, I had compassion for him. And so it's easy when we feel in that energy of the you. It's easy when we've just meditated and we're feeling centered and, yes, I am God made manifest. It is in our daily life, when you can't find your keys, when you turn on the news and it sounds like, oh my goodness, what is going on in the world? And what happened today for me during, I've got to find it, Amazing Grace, I feel like I never heard this line before. So I want to, yeah. The line was, "'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved." And I heard it in a different way than I'd ever heard it before, and I thought, it's grace that gave me the consciousness to see that I was fearful. And in that seeing, I then have the choice to shine the light of love on those fears and transform the energy in the moment. So the bottom line of my message today is keep your heart open. Now, how best to do that than with a reminder? And I got the perfect reminders. I like to believe that I have enough for everyone. And if by chance there aren't, let me know and I will make sure that you get one. It just might not be today. But our work, and what I mean by work is where I place my energy, where I focus my attention. Our work is to be loving. Our work is to open our hearts to give and to receive. Our mission, the coding, like an acorn has a coding to be a mighty oak, and a caterpillar has a coding to be a butterfly. We are all coded to be mighty expressions of love in the world. And my expression is going to be my expression, not better than, not worse than. It's simply my expression. And this universe is orchestrated so that each one of us, the light that we shine, the voice that we give, adds to a fabulous symphony beyond anything that we can imagine. So in this holiday season, I encourage you, I ask you to join me, I invite you to celebrate the light of your heart with the idea that with each out-breath, you give love to the collective consciousness. And if that's all you ever do, your life will be magical. Thank you.